Good evening. My name is Mohammad Parvez. I am from Noida. Currently, I am pursuing BTech in CSE from GNIT Greater Noida. For GTS intensive assignment, I have received GTS interview scheduler application project, which is developed using Spring Boot. Basically, in this assignment, I need to fix some issues and bugs in this which are encountered in this project. So I open the project in IntelliJ IDEA. This is the project. Basically, in this project, if we want to run this project, uh, then we need to JWT authentication. But for JWT authentication, we need to register a user for valid credentials and create entity for the user to register and also create the controller. Then we also need to create the authentication controller and some other service classes for this. But I interact with technical team and he suggested me that I do not need to do these things. We only need to bypass the authorization filter logic and create a and we only need to create a dummy validation logic. So I I remove the validation logic and bypass and set a dummy authentication here, and here I create a boolean variable which is set to true, which is dummy validation logic. If we set this to true, this to false, then we need to uh, authorize authentication logic. But if we set it true, then we create a dummy user principal object with and we use a dummy user ID which is 1. And to do this, we also need to some change in web security class. Basically, I removed some validation logic from this class. After these two changes in the classes, this this project done or work fine. Uh, Now we run the application. This may take some time. So this project or application start on port 4722, and after this we interact with database, and to interact with the database we need to create database by using valid username and password, which is already defined in application.property. By using this username and password, we create database and interact with database. In form.xml, all dependencies already provided, which is required to interact with database. So, uh, so to hit the API on Postman, before hitting the API on Postman, we need to create some record, because after running the application, these tables are created in the database, and to post uh, to post to post the API, we need at least one user already provided in the database. So here we insert a user with user ID 1, and we also need to provide city, uh, which is uh, which is also has user ID 1. Basically, I provide all these entries with ID 1, and also we also insert countries, time zone, job titles, and these all things must require to hit the API. If we do not provide this, then our application gives the error, uh, like GTS user ID not defined, or GTS city with ID 1 not defined, like this. So this is must require to define all these rows or or tables. So after do this, we need to hit the API on Postman. Before hitting the API, we check the controller. In this application, basically only one controller, which is interview schedule controller. This is the global mapping. This mapping, uh, this mapping require all all the APIs endpoint, and all the APIs have some specific endpoint also. So we check for post API, we only need to provide this global mapping, and all these field must require to provide in the body section as a JSON format. When I hit the post post API to create interview schedule, basically this method create interview schedule with all this information, and it's set in database. And second mapping second mapping is get mapping, which is you to fetch the interview schedule by interview schedule ID. We do not need to provide anything in the body. we we provide this path after the global path, and we also need to provide the path variable as ID, means like ID 1 or ID 2 provided in the endpoint to get the interview schedule by ID. By coordinate, this mapping is also fetch the detail by using coordinate ID, and this mapping also get mapping and fetch the detail using interviewer ID, and this is also get mapping. And by using candidate ID, we get all detail about the interview schedule. And this is a put mapping, and for put mapping there is no need to provide any specific endpoint. By using global mapping, we hit the API and provide all these things in the body section in JSON format, and change the JSON data which we want to update. And after this, last API is delete API. By using interviewer schedule ID, we can delete the particular interview schedule. So this is overall controller working, which is used to handle the request and provide the response or give the response in JSON format. So we fetch the API on Postman. So here we already attach some API and create a collection and all the request. These all are requests which need to hit. So first is post request. This is the endpoint for post request, and in the body section we provide JSON form, all fields in JSON format. This must require to send the data. and I hit the API. 201 created. uh, this will give the response success. True means this API hit successfully and work fine. So after this API basically create interview schedule for particular city for particular GTS city or other detail. And to fetch the detail about interview schedule, we fetch or get the all detail by using this endpoint or this API. We do not need to provide anything in body section. We directly hit the API. Basically, I fetch the interview schedule which has interview schedule ID 2. I fetch this this gives some error message. Interview schedule is not found for interview schedule ID. Basically, interview schedule ID does not exist in database. For interview schedule ID 1, we check, or basically interview schedule ID when we check, this also not exist, because when I test these API, then we delete these records. So maybe record 4 it exists in the database. I fetch, yes, okay, this work fine. So all detail about interview schedule ID 4 it provided in the response. And by coordinate ID, we also fetch the all detail. We do not do not delete ID 1 coordinate ID 1. So we fetch detail by using ID 1. This also may work fine and give all detail which has interview coordinate ID 1. And by using interviewer ID, we also fetch all detail. This also give all detail, and this API is used to fetch or get interview schedule by using candidate ID. By using candidate ID 1, this also provide all detail. Now we come to update or put mapping. In this is the endpoint. We do not provide anything. This as endpoint is valid, and we only change interview date, start time and end time, and we do not change anything else. 7. And I hit the edge. Interview schedule ID 2 not found. Basically, interview schedule ID has deleted, so I provide interview schedule ID 4 and hit the API, and this work fine. Give the status OK and update the record which has interview schedule ID 4, and finally I delete the interview schedule which has ID 2, but we already delete ID 2, so I provide ID 4. So I delete ID 4. Okay, interview schedule is deleted successfully, and status code 200. So this is all about all working or of this project, and this work fine, and all API hits successfully, and this project works successfully. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to interact with this project. and I am very excited and interested to work with GTS. Thank you.